This Power Rangers Beast Morphers episode review is intended for and targeted to adult fans of the series.
She demonstrates and deploys the King Zord, which is sent out... No. Hello there, heroes. I'm the Orange Ranger, and welcome to another Power Rangers Beast Morphers 2.0 episode review. I've made no secret of my opinion that the show has been backsliding a bit in its second season, so what could they add to really shake up the formula? How about a brand new Zord and a familiar face that nobody was expecting to return? Let's see how those two elements mix by taking a look at the 7th episode of Beast Morphers 2.0, Beast King Rampage. But before we begin, as always, I'd like to take just a quick second to ask that you please make sure you're subscribed to my channel so you can see all of my videos. Ring that bell to get your notifications set up so you know whenever I post brand new videos. And if you would, consider donating to my channel financially by checking me out on Patreon or Ko-fi. All right, let's hit that review. Kick things off in the Crystal Dimension, where Scrozzle is working on a giant dart. Evox shows up and Scrozzle says the dart is done, pleasing Evox, who feels the need to explain his entire plan to Scrozzle, who already knows about it, and we've been watching it unfold. He took control of Nate with Controllatron. Nate wrote the programming for the dart, which is going to take control of the Rangers' brand new weapon, delivered to it by Blaze and Roxy. At Grid Battle Force, General Burke has gathered the Rangers, Commander Shaw, and his kids to talk about a top-secret project that he and Mayor Daniels have been working on. Now, traffic from the Crystal Dimension is a nightmare, so Daniels hasn't arrived yet. Burke teases a sneak peek at the project having a camcorder plugged in, but it just shows footage of him and his children flailing around in the gym. Now, since my eyes were rolling harder than Commander Shaw's at this point, it is still my overall intention to skip Ben and Betty stuff when it's completely meaningless to the plot. However, I felt the need to mention it here because this footage in particular is disappointing for a greater reason. This footage was part of the Beast Morpher Season 2 trailer that we got from Toy Fair, I believe it was. And while it just seemed to serve as a reminder that we would still have stupid Ben and Betty, dumb, unrelated to the plot comedy antics in Season 2, I felt like including it in the trailer might have been a sign that they were hinting at something greater with those two. I guess not.
Disappointed!
As I said, Commander Shaw's eyes were about to roll out of the back of her head, even as the other Rangers were laughing at this, and she asked Burke what the point of all of this is. He reveals to them that the two have been working on and have created the brand new Beast X King Zord, made with lion DNA. Shaw is incredulous that they would work on a new Zord without involving Grid Battle Force. Okay, at first I was really upset about this line. Burke is Grid Battle Force! Anything he does involves Grid Battle Force! But I tweeted that thought out as soon as I saw it during my watch of the episode, and several people replied to me and basically pointed out that she was likely more specifically referring to the Ranger program. The line is still badly written, but that sentiment does at least make a little more sense. Burke's response is that the Power Rangers are busy protecting Coral Harbor, so they wanted to leave them to that and not disrupt their operation at all. So they managed to find someone else who just so happens to have experience with the Power Rangers Zords. Mayor Daniels walks in and, hello, Megan. Yeah, heroes, that Megan, the one that tried to blackmail Nate and Zoe to get a position as his assistant, and then tried to take over his lab. Nate and Zoe, of course, are especially shocked by this, but Mayor Daniels backs them down. She was the best person for the job, and she's done great work. She apologizes to the two of them once again, saying she knows what she did was wrong and that she hurt them, and this was a great opportunity to try and make it right. She demonstrates the King Zord, which is summoned by placing a key into a thing that kind of looks like the Rangers' Morphers with a lion head stuck onto the side of it. They call it an activator. The Zord races out from between a mountain and runs down a big wild path, impressing everyone. But then Roba, Blaze, and Roxy find the Zord and throw Evox's dart at it. It stops responding to Megan's program and starts breathing fire into the woods. Nate asks Megan if she installed a viral firewall on the Zord to prevent a virus taking it over. She said she was going to... Come on, Megan, how many free firewalls and virus scanners are there out there? Even the paid ones have free demos, at least for this demonstration. Commander Shaw deploys Devin to use the Racer Zord to try to get the King Zord under control. Megan wonders how this possibly could have happened, and the camera slides over to an evilly grinning Mayor Evox.
I love it when a plan comes together.
The Racer Zord deploys, and we basically get a Zord rodeo as Devin tries to get the King Zord under control with no success. He calls to Nate for help, and this transitions us back to the lab, where Nate has located the viral dart that infected the King Zord. He throws some serious shade at Megan for this, for her failure to install the firewall. Didn't Evox get past Nate's firewall in the very first episode? Evox plays this very well, leaping right in on expressing disappointment in Megan, throwing any possible suspicion off of him. Nate has a plan, asking Robbie and Steele to go out into the field, and Zoe to stay with him and coordinate. Megan asks what she can do, and Nate says, nothing. He'll fix this. She gives Zoe the key and the activator, and Zoe does look a little more pained about it. As the Racer Zord is getting beaten around, Nate puts his plan into practice. Robbie and Steele are delivering a satellite dish to Devin, or at least that's how I understood it at the time. When they get there, Nate will have already finished a brand new set of programming that the dish will beam into the Lion Zord to take control back of it. Megan tries to talk with Nate and Zoe, but neither of them will listen to her. Finally, as Nate leaves, Megan drags Zoe back by the arm. Nate's plan is going to fail. Zoe asks how they can possibly trust her, and that question is a little fairer than it first seems. Most of what Megan did was personal, but remember that she did sabotage the cheetah claws, so there's some technical sabotage in there as well. Another great scene with Megan as she expresses that she knows just how badly she messed up and that she hurt people. This Zord was her chance to make things right with Grid Battle Force and to maybe even get a second chance to work there. She realizes that she messed that up by not installing the virus firewall, but she needs to make Zoe understand that Nate's plan is not going to succeed. Zoe considers it, but follows after Nate. Robbie and Steele get into position, and it turns out the satellite dish that was being delivered to Devin is a little satellite zapper gun that they're just going to use themselves. Nate finishes the programming, so all they need now is a clear shot. Cruz has Devin leap the Racer Zord onto the King Zord and start riding it, and this really does become a Zord rodeo. He gets the Zord to stay still for a second, and Nate takes the shot. But hey, guess what? Megan was right! Oh, it rewrites the Zord's programming all right, but instead of making it a good Zord, it activates the Zord's battle mode. I love that Nate is actually momentarily impressed that Megan gave the King Zord a battle mode. Zoe tells the Rangers to regroup because they're going to need to try something else, as Devin tries to hold off a Unizord that may be stronger than his own. Nate tells Devin that unfortunately he's out of ideas for the moment and tries to think. Zoe tells Nate about how Megan predicted the failure, but that's the last thing he wants to hear at first. But she points out that he's entirely out of ideas, and she designed the thing. She's more familiar with this Zord than anyone else. They're going to need to swallow their hurt feelings and ask for her help. Nate reluctantly agrees, going to find Megan and asking for her assistance. Megan explains that the programming activated an auto-defense mechanism that turned on battle mode, a touch that Nate finds genius, but right now they're going to need to try to find a way around it. Megan says the only way around it would be to physically insert the programming into the Zord, just like the dart did. Nate says he's been working on something that just might do the trick. That something is the giant blue bow that we saw in the previous episode. And by the way, that's a bow like a bow and arrow. I realized afterwards that you may have thought I meant like a bow staff, since I can't show you the freaking thing. Thank you, Hasbro. Anyway, Nate calls it the Ultra Bow because as intelligent as he is, he's not incredibly creative. Megan notices that there are blue and yellow things sticking off of it, so she successfully guesses that he has implanted gorilla and jackrabbit DNA into the device. Now she says all it needs is lion DNA to be compatible with the Lion Zord.
Okay, I guess that makes sense.
The Racer Zord starts running out of MorphX, adding urgency to the situation. In the lab, they successfully upload lion DNA to the bow using a computer somehow. And this has now officially become the Beast X King Ultra Bow, presented by Zaya? The Rangers run out to go use the bow, but Nate stops, genuinely thanking Megan for her amazing work. She smiles and thanks him as well and tells him to go and use the bow now, smiling warmly at him as he leaves. Megan, dude. Freaking Megan. The Rangers arrive to take the shot, but Robo Blaze and Robo Roxy would rather that they didn't, showing up with some Tronics. Robbie tells Nate to go take the shot while they deal with that. Blaze and Roxy get into the fight themselves, Blaze taking on Steel and Roxy taking on Zoe. The fights are really good, actually, don't get me wrong, but I'm starting to really wish they'd get over this thing where the same genders have to fight each other. Why wouldn't Blaze attack Zoe? Their colors are closer to matching, right? Nate asks Devin for one more clear shot, so Devin channels most of his MorphX into a punch that stuns the King Zord. Nate takes the shot, and after a tense moment, the programming is successful, the King Zord turning back into a lion and laying down. With everything taken care of, the King Zord asks the Beast Racer Zord to climb on its back to go back to the hangar. The Rangers on the ground are surrounded by the Tronics, and Roxy sends Blaze to go deal with Devin. Blaze specifically saying that he'll go have Scrozzle send a Gigadrone. Remember this. She morphs, as do the Rangers, Nate leading their call with Devin absent. Despite Blaze saying that he was going to get Scrozzle to send a Gigadrone, it's Robo Blaze that shows back up in his Zord, which Scrozzle has apparently rebuilt. Surprise, I guess? It blasts up the Lion Zord and there's a bunch of fire and stuff, but when the fire clears, the Lion Zord is turned into a motorcycle. The ground battle ends very anticlimactically as Nate shoots Roxy with the Ultra Bow and she is destroyed. Again. Meanwhile, the Racer Zord runs all the way out of MorphX, I think the first time that's ever happened. So Devin transfers over to the King Zord, putting it into battle mode. This is kind of anticlimactic as well, a couple of quick attacks, and Robo Blaze and his Zord are destroyed. Back at the lab, even the human story wrap-up is rather anticlimactic. General Burke apologizes to the Rangers for not involving them in the Zord's design, and they all congratulate Megan for helping out with the situation, officially giving her a second chance back at Grid Battle Force. Ben finds the dart that infected the Lion Zord and tries to throw it away. It hits Steel in the legs, and his legs go crazy. Let's throw shades. Episode 7, Beast King Rampage. Pros, the redemption of Megan, an episode-long Zord fight, and focus on the plot. Cons, unclear command structure, a touch MacGuffin-y, and yes, Ben and Betty again. A rebound episode! A really cool new Zord episode that was also a great character piece. Beast King Rampage gets 4 shades out of 5. My favorite part of this episode that introduces a powerful brand new Zord was every scene that Megan was in. Full credit to Madeline Adams for an acting performance that I think even exceeds her first one. We see a Megan that has been humbled by what has happened to her. She comes back to Grid Battle Force looking for this second chance, but facing searing hatred from Nate and suspicion from Zoe, she spends most of her time there with her tail tucked between her legs. It's not directly touched on, but I think the implication is that Megan's eagerness to prove herself to the Rangers is what led her to kind of rush the Lion Zord and forget to install that viral firewall. I love how Nate slowly realizes just how good Megan is at her job, and the way she just glows at the end when everybody praises her for her work. Heroes, I didn't think it was going to be possible, but Megan has been redeemed. This is basically one episode-long Zord fight between the Cheetah Racer and Beast King Zords, and I was here for it. The two Zords were very evenly matched. I mean, this really was a cat fight if you think about it, and they just go blow for blow the entire time. The ground action is happening around the Zord action, and the characters on the ground comment on it from time to time. Heck, it took 25 minutes of real time, including the commercials, for anyone but Devin to even morph. And this time we don't have any of this Steel learning about discipline or Ravi sneaking out to go paint a wall or something. This story is 100% focused on the Rangers defending the city of Coral Harbor. The Rangers get a brand new Zord, the villains try to steal it and almost succeed, and a former member of Grid Battle Force fallen from grace helps them to get it back. This story is the kind of potential that you have with this private military corporation kind of story structure. My comment on Commander Shaw accusing General Burke of not involving Grid Battle Force may have just been a badly written line, a mistake in semantics, but to me it points to a bigger problematic issue. The command structure of Grid Battle Force is really confusing. Shaw is the commander, but the commander of what exactly? All of Grid Battle Force? Just the Power Ranger program? Just the branch in Coral Harbor? Burke is never presented as like commander-in-chief or the head honcho or anything, just a general, Shaw's superior. So what is Burke in charge of? I mean, listen, the Lion Zord was not built in the Daniels family garage, alright? It came out of an official hangar, it uses Morphex as fuel, it's built to Grid Battle Force specifications. Clearly this was a Grid Battle Force project. So why didn't Commander Shaw know about it? Who's in charge of what? Power Rangers as a rule is usually pretty MacGuffin-y. For anybody who's unaware, a MacGuffin is a single-use item in a TV show or a story where it's only used once to save the day and then is never heard about again. This episode has two, one for each side. I kind of don't understand why in stories like these, data and programming is something that's delivered by physical impact. Like plugging in a USB drive or something, sure, but in this episode, each side uses a dart to deliver programming. Add in the satellite gun, a MacGuffin that didn't even work, and yeah, we had a lot of one-off props this time around. Now, why do I think that's necessarily a bad thing? We see why in this same episode, as once again, they use a previously established weapon to do something. Now, this isn't Cheetah Claw's level of development. We only saw this thing once, and it was in the previous episode. But the Beast X King Ultra Bow presented by Zaya, far too many words in its name, weapon, does deliver the dart that reprograms the King Zord, but then Nate also uses it to destroy Roxy, and we know it's sticking around because it's in the opening credits. Use your established weapons instead of MacGuffins. I only mentioned Ben and Betty's first scene because of the disappointment attached to the trailer footage. I only mentioned their second scene for completeness' sake, if anything else. These two were just completely uninvolved with what was otherwise a really strong plot. I've got a great idea on how these two could still be silly comic relief, but have been involved in this plot a lot better. Make that video that Burke shows at the start of the episode, Ben and Betty gathering the lion DNA that's used in the project. They go to the zoo and they have to kind of tiptoe into the lion cage to scan the lion, but uh-oh, Fluffy woke up and chased them up a tree. At least they'd be involved. I mean, the ending involved the dart, I guess, sure, but it didn't mean anything to the plot. But forgetting the duo with 2 Bs and 0 laughs, this episode was really a return to form. The moral is subtle about forgiveness and second chances, and the Rangers demonstrate it rather than just spitting it out at the end of the episode in a short sentence. The action is entertaining, and the human drama was heartfelt. The writers made me like a character that I was enjoying hating in the past. Well done, Beast Morphers. More episodes like this one. Were the world at all normal right now, there would be an Olympic torch relay going on. It actually started in March, but of course halted shortly thereafter. And Power Rangers, in a rather unusual but pretty smart move, I think, plan to play into Olympic hype by doing an Olympic-themed episode. How would those types of games go down in a world in which there are Power Rangers? Well, let's find out by fast-forwarding to the 21st episode of Beast Morphers 2.0, Boxed In. The Pan-Global Games have arrived in Coral Harbor, but Ranger duties prevent the teens from attending any of the events. And that is going to wrap up another Power Rangers Beast Morphers 2.0 episode review. Heroes, thank you so much as always for watching. Now that the video's done, you can go down into the comments and let me know what you thought about this episode, as well as my review of it. And while you're down there, make sure you smack that thumbs up button and let me know that you enjoyed this episode. By the way, my lavalier microphone, you may have noticed I'm not holding a microphone. It miraculously started working again. Not saying anything about it, just rolling with it. Until next time, heroes, may the power protect you. Nate asks Devin for one more clear shot. That's nice. Nate asks Devin for one more clear shot. What the heck? So Devin channels most of his remaining Morph X. Everything's successful and taken care of now. The Lion Zord actually asks the Beast Zord Meanwhile, the Beast Racer Zord, I don't think it's called the Beast Racer Zord. Then, shoot. Beast King Rampage gets a 4 shades.